Hi guys, Anne McKinnell here. Thanks for joining me. Today I will show you how I'm going to combine two images to make a moon in a landscape image. So here's my landscape shot here, and you can see that the full moon was rising, but it's totally blown out in the sky. So in this image, I focused on the landscape, of course, and I exposed for the landscape. So what I did then was use both exposure bracketing and focus stacking to make another image, and that's this one here, where I exposed for the moon and also changed my focus point in camera so it was focused on the moon so I could capture these nice details. So now what I want to do in post-processing is combine these two images so I have the nice moon on the nice landscape. Okay. So the first problem is that you can see here that because the moon was so overexposed in this original image, that there's a strong glow around the moon. So if I just paste the other moon on top of this one, it's still going to have this weird glow. So the first step I'm going to do here is to just completely clone out this original moon so that the glow disappears and the sky is nice and even. So that's my first step. I'm using Photoshop Elements here, but you can do the same thing using Photoshop. I'm going to add a new blank layer, and then I'm going to pick my clone tool, and I'll make it nice and large. Let's see here. I want to make sure that the Sample All Layers checkbox is checked so that it's sampling from the layer below. And I will take a sample from the left side of the frame here, and then I'm just going to paint over all of this until I get a nice even sky here. So sometimes it takes a few tries to go over this to make it all nice and even. And I just keep taking new samples so that I don't get any kind of a pattern going on. Okay, that looks pretty good. So now we have a nice smooth sky. So now I'm going to go over to the moon photo, and I will use my quick selection tool to select the moon. Make sure that layer is selected. My quick selection tool, maybe make it a little bit bigger, and I'm just going to go like that. And you can see using the quick selection tool, it just easily selected the entire moon there. So now I'm going to use Refine Edge. If you're using the full version of Photoshop, I think your tool is called Selected Mask. But the objective is the same. What we're going to do here is paint around the edges of the moon so that Photoshop will use contrast to make a more accurate selection. So I'm going to make my radius here, let's say, around 4 pixels, something like that. And I am just going to actually make it a little bit bigger than that. Okay. All right, and now I'm just going to paint around the edges like this. Okay. And Photoshop made a bit of a better selection there. But now what I want to do is I want to smooth out the edges of this, because if the edges of the moon are really abrupt, it isn't going to look natural when I paste it onto the other image. I don't want this to look like I cut it out with a pair of scissors, right? I want it to blend in nicely. So what I'm going to do is use this Adjust Edge box here, and I'll contract the selection a little bit by shifting the edge inwards. So I'm going to shift the edge in, oh, not very much. Maybe I'll take this to -7 or something like that, -6. And then I am going to feather the edge by, let's go with 3 pixels. And then I'll also add a little bit of smoothing. Okay, now I want to output this. So I'm going to output this to a new layer so that it's easy for me to select later. So I'm going to pick new layer and go OK. All right, so now here we have the moon selected by itself with a nice smooth edge without any background at all. So I can simply go select all, edit, copy, and now I'm going to go over to my landscape image here and go edit, paste. All right, there's our moon plopped right in the middle. So I'll take the move tool and move the moon up where I want it to be. Okay, now this isn't looking very good so far, but we have a really good start. So now to make this moon look more natural in the landscape, I'm going to change the blend mode. Obviously the moon wouldn't look this dark color with the brightness of the sky, so I'm going to change this to the overlay blend mode. And I'm going to change the opacity a little bit, I think, and make it a bit lighter. Okay, so it still doesn't look right. Now it's looking kind of blue. So I'm going to add an adjustment layer. So I'm going to hold down my Option or Alt key on my keyboard while I select to make a new adjustment layer. And by holding down that key, I get this option here to attach this adjustment layer only to that one layer with the moon on it, not the whole image with the landscape and everything, because I just want to brighten up the moon, not the landscape. So I'll check this box to attach this to the previous layer, click OK. And now I can increase the brightness of the moon and reduce the contrast of the moon, like that. Okay. And I'll go back down here to my moon layer and reduce the opacity some more, like that, until we get a natural looking moon. All right, thanks for joining me for this lesson. See you next time.